was built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on the gas, never stop competing. If you break my glass, then this life's gonna end.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah.
I've been doing this, I'm on it. I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it. You know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic. Keep 'em out your face, no way, you don't want it, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy. The enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily, spreading like a rare disease. But I won't let it get to me. I don't need your therapy. I can leave a legacy of leading by intensity. Come on, we can fight this. Freedom is priceless. Spread just like a virus. Living in a crisis. Do you feel courageous? Do you seek greatness?
Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the first episode of the Around the Valley podcast. Now, this is going to be some hella good stuff that we got here. First off, I just want to say extremely excited to get this new show going. It's my first one on the Hardcore Sports Network, so it's going to be great. I want to start off by welcoming my co-hosts. Before I, welcome them, I just want to say I may add one or two more, but for now it's only going to be me, Randy, and YTC. So, what's up, Randy?
What's good?
Come on, man. What's up, YTC?
Salute to you. What's up, Tiro?
All right. So, for today's episode, we're going to be going through how our teams did in preseason. I know the title is the Around the Valley because I'm an Arizona guy, but we're also talking about everything, football, basketball, and baseball. But for today's episode, we're going to be talking about football only. And before we get into the topics, we also may have some guests occasionally come on here just to add a little bit of, some good stuff on here. So I don't know if you guys can see my screen. I think my screen's kind of messed up right now. But
What's up, Sleeping Angels?
Let's start off with Randy. So the Eagles lost to the Baltimore Ravens 20-19 in their first preseason game. So Randy, how do you think your Eagles did?
First of all, thanks for having me part of this. This is going to be fun. I'm glad to be joining you and YTC and whoever else we bring on. So again, thank you to everybody, you two and whoever else comes and joins us. But I mean, shoot, man, there's a lot I could pick and choose from. I mean, I know Mariota isn't the same Marcus Mariota that broke into the league with Tennessee. Could this just be like trying to learn a new system, even though he is a bit of a veteran when it comes to the league? But he did not look comfortable at all. Was, not connecting with the wide receivers. As soon as he hit the ball, he did at times. It seemed like he seemed confused. As soon as they brought in the rookie, the kid that they just drafted this year, the rumors and the word on the street is apparently he's quicker. He's as slow as molasses. I guess the guy can't run whatsoever, but he can toss the rock almost all over the field. And we saw that. Of course, he was only 50% for passing. I think it was 10 for 20 or something like that, but he had chemistry. So that was nice to see. We saw that Ian Book, the Notre Dame product that we drafted a year prior, is nowhere near potentially being a backup quarterback, let alone a quarterback in this league. The Sidney Brown pickup, I was super, super hyped about that, man. He looked awesome out there, was literally tackling everything. He has speed for days. It just seemed like if he was playing free safety, he was already up on the line tackling somebody before they could get to the first down. So he has unbelievable ability to close gaps and get there quick, especially with the wide receivers that we have. And I know YTC will be happy about this, especially with the speed we have in this division now with Jalen Hyatt. It's nice to know that we got a guy in the back end that we could potentially trust. But overall, just the first game. So excited to see more Jalen Carter, excited to see some more Nolan Smith, and just going forward, just hopefully that these guys can develop. But please, no more injuries. We lost one of our special teamers, Sean Bradley, to a torn ACL, MCL, so he's done now for the year. So that kind of hurts us in a position or on a part of our squad, that isn't really that great, and that's our special teams. So it'd be interesting to see what Howie Roseman does there. But yeah, so far first day, I don't look at these as like if we win, oh boo, yay, like let's run to the top of the hills and scream. For me, I just want to see development. I just want to see from year to year, even from game to game, are you seeing the field properly? Are you able to break down and read defenses or offenses depending on your position? That's what I look for. The wins and losses, they'll come and go. But in the end, I saw some good and I saw some bad. So I can't wait for our next preseason game.
So I see your running back core. You got DeAndre Swift, and you got two former NFC West guys, Rashad Penny and Trey Sermon.
Yeah.
So what's that looking like? You see
Swift
like starting, or like they're going to split carries in the actual season? You guys are probably going to cut one of them, maybe?
Well, somebody's going to the practice squad, that's for sure. So that might be a Trey Sermon. Kennedy Brooks didn't look anything of the part. Again, he looked horrible as well when it came to running backs. For me, we didn't see no Kenny Gainwell, so that right there is a number one. So we have Kenny Gainwell, we have DeAndre Swift, we have Rashad Penny, we have Boston Scott. So one of those four guys is potentially going to be either a practice squad or cut. As for Penny didn't do too bad. Swift, he's everything and then some when it comes to the product. A lot of people saying, was reading a lot of Detroit Lion fans saying, you're going to love Swift. It sucks that we had to let him see him go. Obviously now they have Jahmyr Gibbs, so that completely changes the dynamic for them along with David Montgomery. But they said, like, man, the guy is shifty. It's just the one knock on him was his health, right? Like, could he stay healthy for a full season? And then, of course, there's always those pundits saying, well, he ran behind that horrible offensive line. That's why he was always getting beat up. Now you come over to the NFC East, you join the best offensive line in the football, and who knows what this man could potentially be. His first play, he made some guy fighting for air. What I like to say, basically woofing on a tackle. He went forward, stepped back really quick, and then took a step sideways, and the guy went to go tackle him and just was whiffing on air. Basically tackled the air, and then he just went up the field, cut back, and I think he got like a 9-yard gain. And I was like, man, if this is what this kid brings, holy Hannah, look out. So I'm excited for him. Like I said, still haven't seen Gainwell or Scott. So one of those guys is going to be a cut. And shoot, again, it's hard for me to say right now because I haven't seen any more games to like really see like what's going to go, what's going to happen moving forward. But I would love to still see Penny and Swift with this team. If we had Swift, Penny, and Gainwell, and then obviously we bring out the Swiss Army knife versus the Giants and bring in Boston Scott, make him active for the game. We're set, man. So I'm excited about my running back room, to be honest.
Yeah, it's looking really good there in Philadelphia. I'll say that much. I mean, geez, that offense is gonna go crazy. But so YTC onto your team. So they lost 21-6 to the Detroit Lions. So how do you think your team did as far as the depth goes, and what do you think about the Giants and that?
Well, to start off the game, basically we got pressure at the quarterback. I think it was Nate Sudfeld starting at the game. So our front seven was already getting pressure, which I love to see because we're playing in a stacked division where we got the Eagles, elite fronts, offense in the league. We got Washington. They got weapons. I'm not sleeping on Sam Howell because of the weapons he has around. And then we obviously has Dak, who's known for slinging the ball deep to CeeDee Lamb every now and then. So I'm not sleeping on those guys. So it's great to see our backups, our second team, getting to the quarterback and forcing 2 turnovers in the first half. We held them to 3 points, but yeah, that's something you'd like to see because you got when you're playing those elite wide receiving cores, you got in the NFC East with the McLaurins, the AJ Browns, the CeeDee Lambs, and whatnot. You definitely need that. And our secondary was just getting past deflections. They were just sticking on them like, white on rice and whatnot. Like, you just love to see it in the first half. Like, they were just because that's what you need to play in this division. It's a very hard division in the NFC East. You have to, have a good secondary like you see in Philadelphia, like you'd see in Dallas, and you see in Washington, who they acquired with Emmanuel Forbes. But, yeah, you got to have a really good secondary to play in this division and something you'd love to see progress moving forward. I know it's only week 1, but I look forward to seeing, in a couple of weeks from now for that progressing. As for the second half, though, in the game, that's when we blew the lead away because our third stringers, because half of those guys aren't going to make the team, and also because our offensive line got Tommy DeVito, who looked really respectable for some third string, numbers, got him killed basically. So yeah, I don't want to see no Wyatt Davis and Corey, Cunningham playing because God forbid one of our starters get hurt and we have to see those guys play. I don't want my quarterback running for his life, for the majority of his career as he's already done. It's something, and also for Jalen Hyatt, you spoke earlier. Yeah, basically he couldn't. I was hoping we would see more of him, but he was getting open. It's just Tyrod Taylor couldn't, see him downfield. And I felt, if it was another quarterback that can push the ball, I think he would have gotten more targets. But at least he's getting separation. That's the one positive I could see with him. That's just how I look at it forward. But yeah, overall in this game, I didn't really care if we won or lost. I just loved what I saw with the front seven. I saw. We were basically winning off the defense, and basically we couldn't move the ball against on third offense, I believe. So, I mean, they're not starters, so I'm not, putting in too much weight for it. I just wanted to see guys that came out. There's a reason why we signed a bunch of wide receivers in the offseason for one-year deals, because it's to see who gets the best separation and who gets the more chemistry, with the quarterback, and who's going to get open more for the quarterback to target and get the ball out quicker. That's just how I feel.
Also, I want to point out the Giants' third stringer outplayed Trey Lance. I just want to point that out real quick.
Yeah, Tommy DeVito, I know.
All right.
I mean, and also, before you go into the pick, that pick was at the end of the game, by the way, so don't get it twisted.
They forced 2 picks by Sudfeld, even though Sudfeld's not the best. But, hey,
I know, but still.
Defense is looking really good in New York.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to need it to play Philadelphia. So go ahead.
Before we get to the division winners prediction, let's talk about the Cardinals. I mean, now, if you guys follow me, I said I didn't watch this game. I wasn't able to. I'm going to watch this. But I rewatched it. And
luckily, I was able to watch it.
When Eagle fans told me that Jonathan Gannon can't make defensive changeups on the fly during the game, I kind of understood why. Because in that first half, he looked lost as far as just how our offense was going. Our, obviously we have a bunch of first-year coaches on the coordinators and as obviously our head coach. So, but our defense for the most part looked really good. I mean, Russell Wilson played 4 drives, and he didn't even throw for 100 yards. And he only threw for 1 touchdown to Jerry Jeudy. I mean, that was probably the best play he did. But our defense forced 2 fumbles on him. Fortunately for him, he got both of them back. But Dennis Gardeck, Cameron Thomas looking like a really solid duo on our defensive line. As far as our rookies go, I wanted to see Michael Wilson a lot. We didn't really get to see him a whole lot. I was hoping him and Clayton Tune would kind of click in a little bit because it looked like they're probably going to be somewhat of a starter week 1 because Clayton Tune's been outplaying Colt McCoy like crazy. And I know, going to get a bunch of jokes coming at me for that. But as far as Clayton Tune looks, I'd say he had for his first game, it was looking pretty good. I mean, I don't blame him for the interception because Rondale Moore literally slipped and fell. And obviously, you guys have seen the Super Bowl this upcoming season. We're going to have a lot of players slipping on our field like crazy. It's going to be terrible. So there's going to be mistakes like that happening. But as far as our offense goes, I mean, in the second half, they scored 18 points. And David Blau of all quarterbacks, only needed a minute and a half to win the game. So, I mean, if he can do that, Clayton Tune, Kyler Murray, when he comes back, anybody who's playing at quarterback on this team can do that. So I'm impressed with the way our defense looked. offense, if they can keep that pace in the second half going throughout the entire game in the actual season, I think it's going to look really good. Now, as far as quarterbacks go, we're definitely going to have to cut one guy. I think it's going to be David Blau because I just don't see us keeping him over Clayton Tune or Colt McCoy. I just don't see that happening. And with Kyler Murray's rehab, I could see him coming back a lot earlier. So we'll see what happens there. But as far as the preseason game goes, I was really impressed. Now with our offense, I know our offense is going to bounce back. We'll see what they do against Kansas City next week, but which I will be streaming. It should be a good one. But overall, this was a really good game for us and a good look at our brand new coaching staff as well. But with that being said, let's talk about enough with our teams. Let's talk about the divisions. And we're going to start with the NFC since all of our teams in here are in the NFC. And I kind of want to start off a pretty hot topic because obviously my co-hosts in here are in the NFC East. So and guys, feel free in the comments. Feel free to comment on who you guys think are gonna win the division. But let's start with the NFC East. So Randy, I'll let you go first. What do you think about the NFC East heading into the season?
The NFC East.
Yep.
Of course, he gives me the NFC East first. Okay. First off, Eagles defending champs. We lost our OC. We lost our DC. We replaced with in-house with the OC and the DC. We went and got ourselves a new guy. We had a big turnover when it came to losing starters. We lost 2 middle linebackers. We lost our safety. We lost an offensive lineman. What else did we lose? So we lost a lot of pieces, running back and so on and so forth. So for me, in order for us to repeat as champions, we had to rely heavily on our veterans, and the rookies had to outplay their expectations. And now what I mean by that is like they're coming in with already high expectations, filling voids that left to begin with. So for me, it's really hard for me to say that right now as I see this team, and I know I'm going to get a lot of fucking hate for this. So all you Eagles fans, just chill the fuck out. We have a hard schedule, but I honestly feel like the Eagles are going to win the division, but it isn't going to be as close as a lot of people think it's going to be. I think the Eagles are going to be at the top with a 10, either a 10-7 or 11-6 record. Then it's going to be the Giants and Cowboys battling it out for the second spot, basically. And like YTC said, even though it's Sam Howell, I'm not counting out the Commanders. They got weapons all over the place. I mean, Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel. They got Logan Thompson if he could stay healthy as a tight end. They got the two-headed monster in Gibson and Robinson as their running backs. Their defense, they got some solid dudes over there too. So I'm going to say Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, Commanders, but it's not going to be as close as like I'm making it sound like.
So I mean, everybody knows this, or a lot of people may not, but since Donovan McNabb, there hasn't been a repeated NFC East champion. So, I mean, this year, now I still feel like the Eagles have something to prove a little bit. I mean, like a lot of people say, oh, their schedule was easy last year, this and that. They got away with a bunch in the playoffs. In some ways, I can understand that, but in some other ways, I mean, the Eagles' offense, one of the best in the NFL. Their defense looked really great last year. I could see them repeating again, but let's see what YTC thinks. I know you're a Giants fan, so what do you think about your division, and who do you think is going to win?
We also let them sacks too, by the way.
Yeah,
72.
Yeah, I think they were close to the 85 Bears. Yeah, I know. Anyways, so heading into the NFC East this year, obviously we know that the head of the honcho of that division is Philadelphia. They're stacked all over that front seven. They're still stacked at offense and everything overall is Philadelphia stacked. They got one of the best secondaries everywhere. That's why they made it to the Super Bowl last year. So yeah, it's no surprise. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be as easy as it was last year. It might, they might just get around 10, 11 wins like Randy said. It won't be an easier schedule like last year, like the majority of the NFCs had. But I do think I think we might get second place over the Cowboys because the Cowboys have this tendency to have one good year and then they fall off the next year after. It's been a constant in Dallas so far, with them being very inconsistent with win and loss. That's basically how I see it. I think I have us around 9 to 10 wins, just right behind Philadelphia, and then I have the Cowboys below 8 wins, I think. And then as for Washington, they're going to be competitive just because they have a new coordinator, they have a new head coach, and they have their offense is not something to sleep with. If Sam Howell's really good, I still think they're still improving as a quarterback wise. Until they can prove otherwise, I can't see them getting past their winning the division either. But their defense is not in the sleep against. They're going to give teams headaches, playing up against that front seven and rejuvenated secondary with Emmanuel Forbes. So, yeah, it's not going to be really easy playing those teams. But, yeah, it should be a really competitive division now. It's only getting more competitive as, all 4 teams got better in the offseason and had really good drafts. That's how I view it, really.
Plus, they got a healthy Chase Young now, too, by the way.
That's assuming they keep him around. But still, yeah, either way, yeah. I wouldn't sleep on him.
I had it being Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, and Commanders. That's how I had it. Now, the Cowboys, they did pick up Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore. But the thing that concerns me with Dallas is Dak. And I say that because, he's a good quarterback, but he's not, like, a great quarterback. And when it comes to the turnovers and shit, it's like it doesn't look promising to me. So that's why I have him at 3rd. I think I have 10 wins this year. And then I had the Giants getting the tiebreaker over them with 10 wins. And then I had the Eagles getting 11. And then I had Washington at, I think it was 7 wins. A team that could be competitive in the division, but we don't know what Sam Howell's going to be yet. So they do have Eric Bieniemy as their coordinator now. Yeah. So anything could happen with that team, but that's how I had it. I had the Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, and then the Commanders. So
yeah.
Plus, the reports coming out of camp that apparently the Commanders, Eric Bieniemy, is being hard on his offensive players, and they're coming out crying about it. That does not breed well for a good season.
That does not breed well. It does not, because they have to learn a whole new system now. They got to learn a whole new system, and basically, it's not going to happen overnight. It takes a while for that to implement.
Yeah.
So that's why they're going to finish last. I only have us ahead of Dallas because I feel we're more complete on offense, because you take away Dak and CeeDee Lamb, who else do they have, really? I understand you have Tony Pollard, but now, their offensive line is still a question mark, so he's not going to be as efficient as he was before now that they got tape on Tony Pollard, taking the full count. Deuce Vaughns a really good addition, but you can't put too much stock on a rookie, Yeah. But, yeah, that's practically about it. Everything outside of CeeDee Lamb, they're just going to game plan to stop CeeDee Lamb. After that, who else does he have to throw to, basically, if you really take it away? He lost Dalton Schultz. That was another reliable target that was really bloated them to Dalton Schultz. And then
for the record, guys, I'm also trying to share my screen at the same time because, as you can tell, my screen is being ridiculous.
But they'll stay in games. Their defense is good enough to win them 8 games, but I don't think they'll go past that after that, because that's the only reason why they'll be able to stay close in games and they won't get completely blown out. They do have one of the better defenses in the league, so that's why Dallas will be able to stay within games and not get completely embarrassed.
And Mike McCarthy's making all the decisions, and I really don't feel like he's look. The reason the Packers got rid of him, there was a reason, because it just wasn't working at the end, and his style is too old school versus the new school and how we're trying to do things. And I feel
it's not some modern NFL. Yeah,
he's going to be their Achilles heel. I feel like it's going to be Mike.
It's the same reason we got rid of Jason Garrett, because they weren't too modern in today's NFL.
Yeah, so I'm interested to talk about this division, the NFC North.
All right. Very interesting division.
Lions. Now, this is a division that I think could be really good or very bad at the same time.
Excuse me.
But
because it's mad unknown, so yeah.
Randy, who do you got winning the NFC North?
Give me a second.
Also, bless you, Randy. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay. Well, Jesus. I'm getting a cold. I think I'm getting a cold. I don't know why. It's so nice out too. Okay, so the Bears, we all know what they did this season. We all know what they did in the draft. Lions, again, we all know what they did in the draft. Now, when it comes to the Packers and the Vikings, I want to talk about them really quick. The Packers, they got the unknown in Jordan Love, right? Now their head coach has really got to start coaching. He had a luxury in Aaron Rodgers being the guy out there, knowing exactly how to read defenses and so on and so forth. He just didn't have quote unquote weapons, even though I feel like he kind of did. I just feel like he didn't want to be there anymore. The Vikings, I'm sorry to all you Vikings fans, but y'all were frauds last year. Big time frauds. I mean, you got primetime Kurt Buzzins, because all he does is buzz his ass to the sidelines every primetime game. The guys, how do you expect to have a winning season when the guy's primetime record is what it is? I think he has like more losses than double the amount of losses than wins. I think he has 4 wins primetime and like 10 losses or 11 losses or something like that. So they're going to be competitive. Don't get me wrong, the Vikings, like they always are, especially when you got Justin Jefferson and now Addison alongside of him, with TJ Hawkinson as their tight end, I might add. But for me, I'm going Lions, Vikings, Bears, and Packers. Packers are going to be the worst team in this division.
Okay. That's good. That's good. All right. So, Chicago did a lot in the offseason. We still don't know how Fields is going to be, though. At least I don't know how he's going to be. To me, Justin Fields still hasn't done absolutely anything in this yet. So we have to see what he does. Lions, I mean, they did get Gardner Johnson. I mean, Jameson Williams did get suspended, though.
Yeah.
We don't know we don't really know what Jared Goff, if he can repeat what he did last year in the second half of the season. Vikings, to me, they're like, they did get Brian Flores, so I could see their defense maybe being better. But the talent on that defense, besides Byron Murphy, who the hell did they get? I mean, I just don't see their defense winning them games. And, I mean, Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, I love that duo, but Kirk Cousins, I just don't see him repeating what he did last year. I mean, almost all of their wins that they had last year were one-score games.
Mm-hmm.
And the one game that they lost in a one-score game was in the playoffs. So I just don't see their team pulling it out again. I mean, and I do agree they were frauds last year. And Green Bay, a lot of people expect Jordan Love to be trash. Obviously, we don't know yet. So, but yeah, their coach has to definitely step it up a lot this year. But I have it being Detroit, Chicago, Minnesota, and then Green Bay. So that's where I have it at. So, YTC, what do you think?
I'm gonna go, the opposite on this one. It's a really, really interesting division, but call me crazy. Guess what? I got the Lions, the Bears, I got the Vikings finishing third, and the Packers at fourth. I think Chicago's gonna take a step this year. Yeah, I'm one of those. Yeah.
Well, they got weapons on the offseason on the defensive side. They got Tremaine Edmonds.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I look at, Justin Fields like I look at Daniel Jones. 2 guys dealt with bad hands, with bad offensive lines, and poor coaching around, and obviously, no weapons to throw to. And now Chicago addressed that issue, I mean, they paid Cole Kmet. He was one of Fields' reliable targets last year for the Bears, and also their defense really got better. I do think, and because my buddy Jonah, shout out to Jonah, if he's another Chicago Bears fan, he mentioned that Chicago were in like 9 one-score games. 9 one-score games, just with that offense keeping them in. It's just they didn't have a defense to keep them in the game or, held them to points so they can win it. I think because their defense took a massive 180 step in the offseason, they paid for a whole defense with that $100 million salary cap they had. I think it's going to pay off for them. They really invested on their front line, and also their secondaries, just needed a good front seven to cover it. They really have a good secondary with Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, Eddie Jackson, and who was it? Oh, yeah, Jalen Johnson. Yeah, him. They really have a good – and then also the new kid they picked up on Miami, Tyreek Stevenson, I think. Yeah, this front seven's going to get much better. The defense overall is going to get better. And also, I do think Fields will take a better step. He's one of the best runners in the league. I do think he can evolve as a passer with better weapons around, which will put him in the same conversation as, being a top-5 dual-threat quarterback. I think he could be up there along with guys like Jones, Murray, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and the other guys. Yeah, those guys. I think he can be up there, just to put up. But, yeah, as for Detroit, they're probably going to win the division just because of coaching alone. I think they're the more complete well-coached team with Dan Campbell, and also they really fixed their defense. That was one of the biggest issues for Detroit. Detroit has one of the best, offenses heading into this league. So, Jared Goff, he took a big step with, better coaching under Dan Campbell, along with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they also added more to the run game. And also, I still think, receiving is a bit of an issue with after Jameson Williams got suspended and they got rid of Hawkinson, but that's why they drafted Sam Laporta for. So I think it's going to, basically replenish what they lost with Hawkinson. But, yeah, I got them number 1, and then I got Chicago number 2. I have them around 8 wins. That's probably good enough to get them a 7 seed maybe. And then I have Minnesota going around 7 wins. I think they have their offense is good enough for 7 wins, but they don't have a defense, to keep them in games. So that, they're going to have a hangover. And then obviously the Packers are a rebuilding team, and we don't know what Jordan Love is. That's how I look at it.
Fair enough.
Yep, exactly what I think. So I had the I had Detroit getting, I think, 10 wins. I picked Chicago for, I think it was 8 wins. I picked Minnesota to also have 8 wins, but the Bears take them over in the tiebreaker, and then I had Green Bay at 7. So that's how I had it in that division. But moving on to the NFC West. So my beloved division. Oh, man.
Right.
I want to skip this one so bad, but let's just get into it. So, Randy, what do you think on the NFC?
Well, I'm sorry, buddy. And just before I talk, I just want to let you know this is not personal, okay? This is not personal. Okay. Oof. The Cardinals aren't gonna be at the top of the division this year. I got them probably at the bottom. Joining you though, I feel like the Rams could be there as well. The issues with Cooper Kupp now having injuries. He's getting older. He's in his 30s now, plus Stafford being how old he is. They got barely no offensive line. They're going to rely heavily on, a 30-something-year-old Aaron Donald on the defensive side. I mean, it's bad over there. I recently looked to see how many draft picks they had, and I don't think they have a pick. And their own first pick is next year. And one. And one. So for me, it's going to be short and sweet with this one. That 49ers defense, they couldn't do it against us in the playoff game. Now, of course, they got a little bit better when they went and got Javon Hargrave to shore up that middle of the defense. He had 11 sacks with us last year. So will that help? Maybe. Yeah, sure. But the biggest question mark for me is the quarterback. I mean, they got 5 quarterbacks over there and they still don't understand who the number 1 is right now. So I'm going to say Seahawks, 49ers, Rams, Cardinals.
Really?
Sorry.
Really?
Seattle. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like what they did on offense. They got 3-headed monster on the offense with Jackson Smith-Njigba, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. They had almost a 3-headed monster on the running back position when they drafted Zach Charbonnet. They get a healthy Kenneth Walker, the third back. They had the 3-headed monster on the corners when they went and drafted in the first round with their corner, bring back Kobe Bryant, and also Tariq Woolen. They got a defensive tackle in the draft as well, so they can shore up that spot by plugging his ass in there, whether or not he's going to be a 3 or just a run-stuffing DT. But that was their biggest issue last year, was they were getting gashed up the middle. So for me, I got the Seahawks, and of course I know Geno Smith's the quarterback, but I got a lot of I guess you want to call it stupid fool's gold hope that he's gonna take another step forward.
So before I give my thoughts, I want to brings up something interesting. What's up, Coach? He said Donald gets traded at the deadline.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, I'll talk about, obviously, a lot of Cardinal fans are delusional. I'll say that, but I'm the most realistic Cardinals fan you'll ever come across. We are going to finish last. I already know it. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Rams finish last. I wouldn't be shocked. And it may be me being biased, but I wouldn't be shocked if we swept them this year. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, Stafford, he's already having trouble with the team because the team requested to cut his contract, and he already rejected it. We saw Stetson Bennett. He looked kind of iffy in that preseason game. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best. Cooper Kupp, we don't know how he's going to respond from his injury. It was a pretty big issue. As far as the Niners go, I do have them getting first because based off of the recent years, they're like one of the only teams that I've ever seen that it doesn't matter who's playing at quarterback, they'll find ways to win games. It doesn't matter. You have Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell in the backfield when they're both healthy. Now, which that's also a concern, the injuries on their team. They've dealt with so many injuries in the past, it's ridiculous at this point. But as far as the Niners go, their defense and Kyle Shanahan's play calling ability is whack.
Wow.
I knew Coach was gonna ask. I thought I was just waiting for the question to come in. What's up with him wearing that crop top?
Oh man, you guys know Kyler Murray's weird. Come on now, you guys know that.
Yeah,
I mean, aren't most NFL players, but yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, but I do have Seattle getting second. Me personally, Dino was just a one hit wonder. But when you look at the team he's got around him, especially DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, JSN, Kenneth Walker, I mean that offense is completely stacked around him. So, and their secondary looking pretty good for the future. Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant. I mean, like those guys are looking really good. So
they just gotta hope. Sorry to cut you off. They just gotta hope that a Quandre Diggs at safety and what's his name there, the other guy, Adams. They can stay healthy.
Yeah,
they can stay healthy.
They got Bobby Wagner back too, so that's another.
And they brought back the old versatile Bobby.
So I understand why you said Seattle could get first because we don't know what the quarterback issue is with San Francisco, but I got Seattle getting second. I got the Rams getting third, and I have us finishing last. But like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if the Rams got last because I mean they got no cap space, no draft picks, just no future whatsoever in my opinion. But
and sorry to cut you off again, but all their key players are just old, man. So you can't even really coop some draft capital for it. Maybe a late 4th or 5th rounder type guys, but you're not going to garnish a 1st or a 2nd potentially, unless it's like Coach said, Aaron Donald.
Yeah, exactly. But YTC, what do you think on the NFC West?
All right, the NFC West. So this is a really complicated division, between Seattle and 49ers at least, But only because, the 49ers have a really stacked team. I got them, winning the division like, everyone else on here besides Randy. But, yeah, I have them at number 1. I have Seattle at number 2. Number 3, I have the call me crazy. The Cardinals will finish better than the Rams. And I got the Rams at last. Here's the reason why. I'll start with the bottom, then I'll work my way up to the top. So, anyways, the reason why I have the Cardinals finishing over the Rams is because one thing.
That's what she said.
Cardinals – one thing, the Cardinals improved their defense, and also the Rams, they don't have no one else besides Aaron Donald. I think the defense will be good enough, to keep them in games. They'll be one of those sneaky teams that, people will overlook, but then they'll find ways to stay in games. I'm not underestimating Arizona. I do think Kyler Murray's going to come back somewhere in like around week 5 or 6, maybe earlier than that, and that he'll come, playing with, a drive and motive and a chip on his shoulder that he's going to want to prove he belongs on the team. And I think his belief, and also his determination is going to win them games. That's why, I think he's going to, and because he's a better quarterback than Stafford right now at this point of his career, I do think he'll be able to win more games than the Rams. I got the Rams around like a 4 to 5 wins. I think they're going to probably be picking number 1 overall, somewhere around there. And then for the Cardinals, I have them around 6 wins. I think Kyler Murray's going to come back in time just to win them a good amount of games to not finish last. As for Seattle, it's just Geno Smith for me. I understand they have a really good team around, and they have a good. They improved the wide receiving core. They got one of the best run attacks in the league with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet and the other guy. And then they could fix their defense a lot. I mean, they already had a decent front seven. It's just they fixed their secondary with Devin Witherspoon. They also got put him next to Tariq Woolen, who's a candidate for Rookie of the Year, but lost to Sauce Gardner. But yeah, that only defense is going to get much better in my opinion. And also they still have Pete Carroll, over in that division still. He's still, a very good coach. And as for the 49ers, even though we obviously know the elephant in the room is the quarterback situation, I still think they have one of the more complete rosters next to Philadelphia when it comes to, in the entire league. I think that that stacked team around is going to be good enough. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. I think Brock Purdy's going to, play all right. I don't know about the playoffs, but he's going to play just right enough to win him the division, I think, when he comes back, in time. Because usually the 49ers start out very slow, like, below 500, and then they start winning a crap load of games after in the middle of the season. That's what I think is going to happen again for the 3rd time with the 49ers. So I got San Francisco winning that division around, 11 to 10 wins. But, yeah, and I have the Seattle making the playoffs around the 6th or 7th seed, I think, at like 9 wins or 10, somewhere around there. I have them going back. And then for the Cardinals 6 wins, and I have the Rams around 5 to 4. That's how I look at the division going now. Yeah,
and also I want to point out that the NFC is looking really weak. So like any team in the NFC can literally make the playoffs, and at least that's what I think. But I mean, but now let's get into the NFC South. Now this division, I'm still not confident in my pick to win the division because anybody in that division could win. But Randy, we'll start off with you. When you look at probably the worst division in football, or maybe the second worst, because AFC South exists. What do you think of the NFC South?
Okay, well, Falcons, Panthers, Saints, Bucks, right? Well, the Saints' big acquisition in the offseason was going and getting Derek Carr. They needed a quarterback, obviously. They, Taysom Hill and turnover Winston wasn't the option, so they thought that was it. They get Michael Thomas back, whether that's a plus or a minus, but they lose Alvin Kamara for 3 games. Shoot, man, this one is hard for me because rookie quarterback basically and a shitty quarter. Oh fuck. I'm okay. So I'm gonna go Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Bucks. This one is it's like I feel like whoever just wins 7 or 8 games is probably getting in the playoffs. I feel like because the Bucks, Baker Mayfield, puke. There's nothing. And then Kyle Trask. Oh, sure. Okay, yeah, there we go. We're winning it all. But see, that's like Taj says, Panthers, I love their defense. They got dogs all over the place with Brian Burns. They got what's his name there? The safety there. Shoot, why can't I remember his name now all of a sudden?
Jeremy Chin?
Chin. There you go. Yeah, Jeremy Chin. They got Jeremy Chin. He's a stud. He just can stay healthy. They got weapons, all over the place. They did lose DJ Moore, but they still have some good wide receivers over there. Terrence Marshall Jr. could potentially now step up if he needs to, but he's got to stay healthy as well. But the Buccaneers, I don't see anything happen. Falcons, I don't know what Desmond Ridder is. I haven't seen enough of the kid to really be like, this guy's got it, definitely. They got Bijan Robinson, but it's they had Tyler Algier last year and he still put up 1,000 yards. So Drake London on the outside, Kyle Pitts, and that guy being the unicorn that he was supposed to be when he came out, and he only has 3 touchdowns in his career. It's just they're underutilizing certain guys and overutilizing some other guys. And it's so if you have Bijan, what are they going to do with him? So it's man, I'm gonna say Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Bucks.
Yeah, so I picked Atlanta to win the division. Man, shout out to Coach, man. But I picked Atlanta. I picked Atlanta to win.
Practically, Coach.
I could be wrong. I'm not really confident in the pick, but I picked them mainly because, yeah, we don't know what Desmond Ridder is, but he was able to go out there and 2-3 games last year, so it looked pretty decent for the most part. Their coach does run a run first offense, so I couldn't. And I even
Arthur Smith, right? Arthur Smith.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with. Shout out to John J. Niners fan. I kind of agree with him when he says Atlanta could be a team that may want Trey Lance if the Niners let him go, because of the fact that they have a run first offense and Trey Lance could really fit in that system. But as far as Desmond Ridder goes, he's got Cordell Patterson, Drake London. We'll see what Bijan Robinson is. On the defensive side, they pick up Jesse Bates, which, just they had an underrated offseason, in my opinion, so I have them getting first.
Okay.
I have the Saints getting second. Now, Kamara did get suspended first 3 games, and I'm pretty sure their first 2 games are against division rivals. Ooh. So I think those 2 games are going to be really key. And without Kamara, still got Chris Olave, but I'm just not Derek Carr. I guess you can make a case saying it wasn't his fault in Vegas, but at the same time, I don't think he's really done anything yet. Me personally, I just don't see. I feel like New Orleans. I think I had him at 8 wins. I had Atlanta at 8 wins too. I had Atlanta taking the tiebreaker over them. So, and I could, when Taj says Panthers winning, I could understand that. But I feel like for Bryce Young, it's going to be a year where I think the Panthers are going to be bad, but I feel like they're going to look like a good team for the future. That's kind of like Cam Newton's rookie year. They were a bad but they look good for the future. That's how I feel like it's for Carolina.
Competitive. They were competitive. Yeah, they were competitive. Yeah.
And for Tampa Bay, I've never been a fan of Baker Mayfield. I've never been a fan of Baker Mayfield. Since he's came into the league, I think he's thrown the most picks since 2018. I think. I don't know if he still holds that, but he's battling with Kyle Trask for QB1. Like, are you joking? To me, that right there should say I just don't see them, even competing in that division. So I have it being Atlanta first, New Orleans second, Carolina third. And I think I had Carolina getting 7 wins, and I had Tampa Bay getting 5 wins.
5, okay.
So that's where I have it. But YTC, what do you think?
Well, I got the same prediction as you. I think Atlanta's winning a division for me. I got Atlanta winning it too. And then I got the Saints second. I got Carolina at third, and then obviously last, probably tanking for Caleb, maybe Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But yeah, the reason why I have the Falcons winning, simple. They have one of the best run attacks in the league now with Bijan Robinson. Tyler Algier was no slouch. And also Cordell Patterson's still there. Caleb Huntley fit in. They have a 4-headed monster if you really think of it on that run attack they have. And that 4-headed monster is going to help the quarterback a lot. It doesn't matter who's starting between Ritter or Heineke, which we don't talk about either. Heineke's a really good, capable backup in case he goes down or if he's underperforming. I think Heineke could step in and probably take the same role as a Nick Foles, where, they came in and won out the last couple of games. I'm not saying they're going to, end out with the Super Bowl and all. No, that's not going to happen. I'm just saying maybe he might come in and, win them the games, go on a win streak and drive them into the playoffs. I don't think they'll get off the first round now.
I totally
forgot. Yeah, Heineke's there.
Yeah.
And I think he might be able to, I wouldn't be shocked if he beats Ritter in preseason and he gets the starting job. You never know. And then maybe they'll probably be in the driver's seat to definitely win that division. I think because the weapons were heavily misutilized over there under Marcus Mariota back there. They also got Matt Collins, who isn't something to sleep on. I think he could fit in as a number 2 role to Kyle Pitts. I think because obviously the Kyle Pitts is the number 1 over there in the receiving game. I haven't seen much with Drake London. They have to show me more before I can be sold on Drake London. But I know what Matt Collins is when he was on the Raiders. From what I've seen for a couple of games, he's a really good, reliable receiver over there. And when he was in Miami as well, I've seen him around. He's a really good number 2. No, but after he left Philadelphia, he was a really good, solid number 2 when he was elsewhere. With the Raiders and Miami, he really stepped in as a number 2. I think he'll fill in, surely for that. Yeah. And then after that, the Saints, obviously, I'm not sold on Derek Carr yet. He's a guy that, can win in the regular season, but, when it comes to the playoffs, he can't get it done. Or when it comes to, coming from behind, he's not that guy. But, and also because I don't care if Kamara's off, for the first couple of games, there's still, question marks in the offense because all they're going to probably do is just game plan to stop Chris Olave, and that's practically it. They don't have no one else that stands out unless A.T. Perry, that guy they took in the mid-round, stands out, I think, as a number 2 option. I don't see nothing much really going on for that team, And also, I don't trust Dennis Allen. I think he was from the Raiders as well. So, probably some connection between them, it's going to probably hinder him back. So I don't trust, I don't trust the Saints. To me, the Saints are practically, the Raiders just in gold, basically. But they still have the color black. That's all. But yeah, as for the Panthers, yeah, they're going to be competitive. I think TRL said to himself, what Cam Newton, when he saved Ron Rivera's job back in, I think 2011, when he had a really good rookie year, because I think Ron Rivera was about to get fired if he didn't, pan out. And basically, because what I've seen with rookie quarterbacks is that when they pan out, it helps, save the jobs of head coaches who are on the hot seat. I think that's going to be the case for Carolina, with Bryce Young having a possibly breakout year and saving Frank Reich's job, and then, building moving forward. Yeah, they have a good future moving forward, but we have to see it on display. As for Tampa Bay, don't get me started with the quarterback competition. It's one of the worst I've seen with Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield. No, they were just overthrowing, making horrible check down reads, and also slow progressions, throwing a lot of picks. No, it's not it really. It wasn't really it. I don't care if Baker had a good preseason in them against I think he had respectable numbers against the Steelers.
Yeah, he was 8 of 9.
Yeah, it's only against a bunch of third and second stringers that won't be on the team on Pittsburgh. It's still not impressive. I don't think he's going to do any of that when it comes to regular season. Baker, I think he's lost it already. At this point, he's probably a backup role at best now. He's not the same as he used to be. Yeah, at this point, he might as well go to the XFL. I wouldn't be shocked.
He's still dying.
But damn, you good, Randy?
But
anyway, that's just my opinion, though.
Yeah.
Just to wrap it up. Yeah.
Before we get to the AFC, I want to ask a question to you guys and everybody in the chat since it's been brought up a couple times. What team do you think is going to get Caleb Williams?
The Bucks. I said it.
Bucks.
Okay. It's going to be a toss-up for me. Yeah, it's either going to be the Bucks or it's going to be the Commanders.
Commanders. So I'll talk about it when we get to the AFC West, but I picked the Raiders, and I'll talk about that. Yeah, I picked the Raiders, and I'll talk about that more when we get to the division. But let's get to the AFC. So AFC East, and I'm really excited to see this division.
Yeah, it's all up there too.
Patriots. So Randy, what are your thoughts on that division?
Yeah, this one you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, this one is interesting actually, you know, the Bills, Jets, Patriots, and Dolphins. The Bills. Yeah, they never mind. Something just popped up on my screen. Kind of ironic we're talking about that. The Bills, I feel like this has to be the year that Josh Allen wins it, because if not, when? Really, like it's going to start getting real difficult for them, because the more and more we get flooded with this league with better and better quarterbacks and teams starting to develop them the proper way and surround them with even better talent, the concept's going to start carrying on, and before you know it, he's going to be in the rear view seat looking forward, saying, "Man, those were some great years. What if?" But I hate to say it, boys. I feel like this year the Bills are going to take a step back. The Jets are going to win this division solely because of the big acquisition, the big fish they went to go get. I'm a big, not a big lover, but a big supporter of why am I drawing a blank? Aaron Rodgers. I'm a huge fan of Aaron Rodgers. Just what he brings to the game. Just freshly over 100 yards or 100 interceptions on his career, which is just like mind-boggling when you really go look at his stats and everything else. Close to 60,000 pass yards, almost 500 passing touchdowns, which he will eclipse this year, guaranteed. So yeah, I got the Jets winning the division, but the Bills will be close on their ass. The Dolphins and then the Patriots. I'm not a big fan of Tua. I'm kind of worried actually about him a little bit when it comes to his health and his head. As somebody myself who's had about 9 concussions in my life, my brain is considered almost a noodle. I could be outside in the heat and all of a sudden I'll get dizzy because my head injuries in my life. It's ridiculous. No, it's ridiculous, man. It's crazy. I fell on the ice. You know, in Canada we play on ice. I felt
visualizing it.
Yeah. I smoked my head and I woke up the next day in the hospital. I didn't even know where I was. Like I got up and walked out. So it's just, I'm worried about him. He's one concussion away potentially from that career being over. And in his position in his career, we've seen it, guys. He's been prone to getting his head hit. Now I know I understood he took some MMA classes to learn how to fall better, but there's no way to teach yourself to have your head snaps back when you're getting thrown to the ground. There isn't. And what makes matters worse is when you have a heavy helmet on top of your head, so it throws it back, and that weight adds more motion. So I feel like this year is going to be a down year. Tyreek's going to be upset. They got Eli Apple. He's going to get burned a lot on the outside this year. You already see it in the goddamn preseason videos or the training camp videos. So Waddle might have a good year, but their biggest question mark has to be him. And then the fact that they lost their defensive coordinator. But then the Patriots. Mac Jones is not the answer. I'm sorry. I recently heard that Robert Kraft came out and said that Mac Jones is his guy, and apparently Bill Belichick doesn't want him to be the guy. Mind you, he was given a tough draw of getting Matt Patricia as his OC, who's been a fucking DC his whole entire life. That made no sense. So I got Jets, Bills, Dolphins, Patriots.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it for Buffalo for one more year. I still feel like they're a good team. I mean, Josh Allen, still looking really, really good in his prime right now. I mean, Stephon Diggs, yeah, there's some drama going on there that we may not know about. But if he's available, Josh Allen's going to have his number one weapon. The only thing
Didn't
that
they lose? They lost some weapons on defense, didn't they?
Tremaine Edmonds, I know that he went to Chicago. So yeah, I could see their defense taking a downfall, but I mean, when you look at that division, I do have the Jets getting second. I'll get to them in a second. But as far as Buffalo goes, the only thing that really concerns me is how Von Miller responds to his, I think it was his ACL.
Yes,
That's
yes.
what he tore. So, I mean, as far as that goes, I mean, the Bills, they're a good regular season team. I'll give them that. Come playoff time, it'll probably be the same exact story. But as far as they go this season, I do have them repeating the division win. I have the Jets getting second. I mean, they haven't had a quarterback this good, I think, ever. And they have Aaron Rodgers now. So, and I mean, their defense sparked last season. Sauce Gardner, I mean, had a really, really good season. I mean, they also picked up Alan Lazard. They still got Garrett Wilson, and Nathaniel Hackett's back at coordinator under Rodgers. And Rodgers, I guess he likes Hackett enough. I mean, he's probably the reason why they got him. So
he won his 2 MVPs under him as well.
Yeah, so Rodgers has some familiar faces there in New York, or New Jersey, I should say. So I could see it going really well for the Jets. Now a lot of people are saying they're going to be the Broncos the last year, this and that, but I do have them getting 10 wins and making a wild card spot. So that's where I have them at 10 wins, and I have the Bills at 11 wins. And third place, I gotta put Miami there. Miami, I feel like they have a good team, and I love their receiving core with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I love those guys. But it's just Tua. I mean, why have guys like Luke Kuechly, like guys like him retired early because of the concussion issues? I mean, Tua's one concussion injury away from doing that. So I feel like the Dolphins have a good team around them. They're just a quarterback away, at least in my opinion. They're just a quarterback away. And they signed Mike White to a 2-year deal. So some tells me they're not really how do I say it? They're not really confident in Tua's availability. That's what it's like. And as far as New England goes, I do have them getting last. I don't trust Mac Jones, and we'll get to Zeke in a second. But even with Zeke there, I mean, are they really going to get any better? I know Belichick, he's going to have a good defense every single year, but you also have to have somewhat of a decent offense to win. And he just doesn't have that. I mean, who's the number one receiver? Juju?
Yeah.
Juju. So I got the Patriots getting last. And when you say Belichick doesn't want Mac Jones to be the guy, I can understand why they could try to get a Caleb Williams or a Drake May. So I have them getting last place. I think I had them at 6 wins. And I had the Dolphins at 9 wins. So that's how I have it being Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Patriots. But YTC, what do you think?
Well, practically, I got the same prediction as my buddy John Jay in the comments, except the Patriots had 6 wins. But yeah, I got Buffalo winning the division. I think they're the more complete team around. They're the more well-established, coached-wise, and more young and athletic. Best quarterback in that division, basically, with Josh Allen being better than Aaron Rodgers at this point of his career. So yeah, and plus they're more, established and well coached and more, have more chemistry with one another. I still think, until the other teams, prove that they can step up to their level, they're not there yet. But I got Buffalo winning the division. As for the Jets, I do have them going to the wild card in second place as well. Only because here's the reason. Rodgers can stay healthy from what I've seen compared to Tua. But yeah, and also the Jets did improve their defense. The Jets also got a number 1 threat with Garrett Wilson, and Garrett Wilson in his own right got 1,000 yards with Zach Wilson as his quarterback. So just imagine how much he can, duplicate his success with Aaron Rodgers throwing them the ball. And also, they do have an underrated tight end with Tyler Conklin. He was really the number 1 target that was getting open and all. I feel he doesn't get talked about enough as well. He's a really reliable target over there, along with Jeremy Ruckert. He's a really solid number 2, that people don't often talk about. And then also they bought Alan Lazard in. They got who else? I know McCall Harmon. They bought McCall Harmon. He was a really good, speedster down in Kansas City. They really have a decent amount, a supporting cast after Garrett Wilson. Really, it's just with coaching, that's a question as well. If you can coach in between it, that's just how I look. I go about it really. And as for the Miami, Tua, it's Tua, just like TRL said, it's Tua. He has to stay healthy. I don't think he's going to stay completely healthy. He'll miss a few games and now and then. I don't think it'll be career ending, but still, I got to see Tua play a full season before I can put Miami ahead of the Jets. They have a really good team, just like the Jets. It's just Tua overall, and also Mike McDaniel, taking the second step as a head coach as well. I want to see how that plays out. They have a good run attack with Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. And also, I'm making a bold prediction with the Dolphins. If the 49ers get rid of Trey Lance this, offseason, or they get rid of him after preseason and whatnot, or trade him, I have a feeling he might go to Miami. Because, he has a connection with Mike McDaniel down there, the same corner he played under his first rookie year, his first 2 years in the league. So I think he can, go link up with his boy Mike McDaniel and then probably, rejuvenate his lost mojo he had before he left. I think that might be a location he might head down to, I think, and have a chance to start if, Tua can't stay healthy. He might be in competition with Mike White, for the starting job. That's how I look at it. As for the Patriots, they're going to finish last. Mac Jones is practically a discount Jimmy Garoppolo. Same like him, just like a statue in the pocket. All does is dink and dunk. That's practically it. They have a defense that'll keep them in games, obviously, because Belichick's never really had a bad defense throughout his tenure in New England, really. As for the receiving core, outside of Juju Smith-Schuster, they don't really have nobody else, really. You need weapons to compete inside the AFC. This is a really stacked division. I think they're the least stacked team, around overall. So I think they're going to finish last, New England around 6 wins. That's how I look at the division.
All right. So before we get to the next division, Randy, you said you got to go. So
Yes, sir.
all right. So see you later, Randy. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yep.
Guys, look forward. I'll be on the episode full time next week. Just, I thought it was a different time, and then it got moved to a different time. So I made some plans a little later to pick up a friend from the airport. So I just got to go run and grab him. If you guys are still on when I come back, I'll definitely hop back on.
Okay.
For sure.
I'm really close to the airport. I'm only like 25 minutes away. So.
Okay.
All right, for sure.
All
right, boys.
Definitely.
All right. Oh, yeah, one more thing. TOPU went slick. All right, anyways, moving on.
All right. So, let's just continue this. All right. Shout out to Randy, guys, by the way. Go.
Yeah, shout out to Randy.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Oh, wait, no. I forgot to put his YouTube link in the description. But, yeah, go sub up to him.
Next shift, by the way.
Let's go. So, what is it? The AFC North. So,
Yep.
Ravens, Browns, Steelers. So, YTC, what do you think?
So, the AFC North, I got the Bengals winning that division. I think they're a more complete team than the Ravens. I was going to initially put the Ravens and Steelers up there, but Steelers have a question at quarterback, and the Ravens, Lamar can't stay healthy either. So, I don't, I have to see Lamar play a full season before I can take them seriously to win the division. I mean, don't get me wrong, the team got better, but yeah, they'll probably still get second place though. The Ravens. I got the Bengals winning the division around 12 wins. I wouldn't be shocked if they got the number 1 seed. I think their defense doesn't get talked about enough. They really added a decent amount of pieces to the defense as well, and also in the draft at least. And also they still have one of the best passing offenses in the league. I do think they, the offensive line is going to gel over time with them, having playing time together, and they have one of the best receiving threats in the league. I think, regardless of how they lost Hayden Hurst and the other guys, I still think they have a really good receiving core over there. And also one of the better running attacks with Joe Mixon, and I think the other guy. No, never mind. He left. No, they still have a good running back though with Joe Mixon. I think he restructured his contract to take less and stay with the team. And also Zach Taylor, he doesn't get talked about often, but his offense really works for that in the division. I think he's going to take another step in that forward light, and that Joe Burrow's going to play with a bigger chip in his shoulder to go back and win the Super Bowl, because after losing the AFC Championship game, he's going to probably be more driven after that. And also coming back from an injury he took in preseason, I think, practice, coming back from that calf strain, he's going to be, have a chip on his shoulder to, prove it, he's not a one-year wonder. But as for the Ravens, they did get better in the offseason with OBJ, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews being one of the, top 5 tight ends in the league. And then they have a new system, which I think is going to benefit Lamar in the passing game. I mean, Lamar can pass the ball. It's just the offensive system, doesn't work in today's modern NFL no more, with just running the ball and running a bunch of wildcat formations every now and then. I do think they'll be much better as, in passing the ball. Lamar can pass the ball. It's just, this the stigma about, black quarterbacks, being mobile, that they're not efficient passers and this and that is really hurting his narrative around him. I do think he can pass the ball. Unfortunately, yeah, but that's just, unfortunate how the NFL views it. But I do think Lamar can pass. But overall, I got them finishing second. As for the Browns, they're my dark horse. I do think the NFC North could be similar to what the NFC East, the AFC North could be similar to what the NFC East was, 3 division spots being to the AFC North. I could see the Browns making the 6th or 7th seed. I do think the Browns are really underrated. I think Deshaun Watson's going to, coming off that, allegations and all that other stuff, he's going to take a step forward into the year 2. But the Browns, I think he's going to prove, he still has it. He's going to have a bounce back renaissance year, and Amari Cooper's going to help him out, having one of the best running backs in the league with Nick Chubb, and also one of the best offensive minds with Kevin Stefanski. Is going to help him move, prove his point, and also their defense is getting up there, having a decent amount of pieces around, which will keep them in games. And I do think they can, possibly sneak a 6th or 7th seed. As for the Steelers, I think this is going to be the first year, Mike Tomlin's going to have a below 500 record, around 7 to 8 wins, which is below 500. I think Kenny Pickett's still an unknown. I know their schedule is much easier, but Kenny Pickett's a really big unknown. And also Matt Canada, he's not a really proven good coordinator, Outside of George Pickens and Najee Harris, they don't have that much of a supporting cast afterwards. They do have a good defense, but, your defense can only take you but so far as your bad offense, allows it to, go forward with. I do think they'll finish last.
Yeah, so this division I feel like is going to be the toughest. I know people are talking about the NFC East, but I feel like this will be the toughest division this year. I feel like every team is going to go above 500 in this division. I got the Bengals getting first. I have them repeating the division win. They did get Orlando Brown, but even with Orlando Brown, Joe Burrow's O-line, it just hasn't helped him out recently. And obviously, I don't think Joe Mixon got suspended, but I'm pretty sure he was involved in something. I don't think he got suspended or whatever though. So they still got him. Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. That's a solid enough receiving core to get the job done in my book. They did lose Jesse Bates, which that's a big loss for them. I think their defense will keep up for the most part though. Zach Taylor is an underrated coach, like you said. So, obviously I got them getting first again. But honestly, anybody in this division could win. At least that's what I think. So I got Cincinnati winning 12 games, getting first. And then second place, I have it being Baltimore. Now, Baltimore could get third or fourth. Any team could win or lose this division, whatever. But I'm picking Baltimore to be second. Now, they did get OBJ. They drafted Zay Flowers, which, it's not the best receiving core, but they did upgrade a little bit at wide receivers. And even with Lamar Jackson out for a little bit last year, I'm pretty sure they were still second in the division last year, and they still got a wild card spot. So as long as Lamar can stay available and stay healthy, I feel like they'll be capable enough to, make that playoff spot. But as far as their coaching staff goes, now they did hire a questionable offensive coordinator in Todd Monken. I don't know. I feel like if they were going to get him, they should have just kept Greg Roman because, in Monken's past history as a coordinator, it just hasn't really panned out that well. And I do agree with people when they say that he's kind of a product of Georgia, but we'll see if he can turn things around there. And they do have a really good defense, so I have him getting second. Third place, I have it being the Steelers, and I'm always going to say this until it actually happens. Until Mike Tomlin has a losing season, I am not picking them to go below 500. I'm just not going to do it because I did it. I think I picked them to go below 500 for like the past 2 or 3 years. And it comes back to bite me in the rear end. So I'm not doing it this year. Until he has a losing season, I'm not picking it. I have the Steelers winning 10 games this year because honestly, they do have a pretty easy schedule if you look at it. And I actually do have them upsetting the Niners week 1 as a little start to that. Kenny Pickett, we don't know what he's going to be exactly, but George Pickens looking like he's going to have a really, really good year too. Najee Harris and Pat Freiermuth on that offense as well. And they always have a good defense no matter what. So I have them getting third place at 10 wins. And I actually have Baltimore getting 11, by the way. And last place, I have it being Cleveland. Now, Cleveland, I could see them getting a playoff spot. I could see them getting second place in the division, but I mean, the reason I'm picking them in last is just because of how tough their opponents are in that division. Now, I do have them going 9-8, and Deshaun Watson, he's had a full offseason to actually focus on football for once. No more accusations, no more suspensions, no more of that. He's had a full offseason to focus on football. So I could see him turning things around this season. I know a lot of people or some people out there are saying he's not going to do this, he's not going to do that. But now that he's had a full offseason to work on football, I think he's going to go back to the form that he once was. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I have him going 9-8, finishing last place in that division. So that's how I have it: Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, and then Cleveland. So I know we had some people in the comments give their prediction. So moving on to what could also be the toughest division in football, maybe, is the AFC West. So when you
AFC West?
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, for the AFC West, we obviously know who's going to win that division. You know, they've been the head honcho for the last decade, practically, if you really think of it. I don't think no one's really won that division. What was it, back in 2015? I think the Broncos? I don't think no one's won after that, or I could be wrong. It's been always the Chiefs, the one constant, because of two people, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and they're still there. I still think they're going to, obviously, they're the best quarterback and head coach tandem in the league. They're still going to be good enough to, win the division. As for second place, I do have the Broncos having a renaissance, year. I do think the Broncos will, go like 10 or 9 wins. They're going to bounce back with Sean Payton as a head coach. I think he's going to, turn around Russell Wilson's, fundamentals. And I think Russ is going to play with a chip on his shoulder to prove he's not washed. Because after last year, last year was just a wake-up call, playing under Nathaniel Hackett. And, him getting a wake-up call is going to, drive him to, be much better than he was last year. And under a better head coach and better guidance and better discipline under Sean Payton, because he's a very disciplinarian coach from what I've, read in the preseason policy stuff and all. Comes off as really disciplinarian. I think he's going to drive them right in the right set. They have a really good defense over there too, with Pat Surtain, Justin Simmons. They also added to the front seven in the draft as well. They also on the offensive side, they still have one of the best underrated receiving core leagues with Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton. And then you add a guy like Greg Dulcich. Yeah, that's how you pronounce it, I think. Yeah, Greg Dulcich. Really underrated tight end. He just didn't get enough, under a bad offense. From the limited amount of catches I saw him got, he looked really all right, compared to Noah Fant. I think he's going to, take another step forward for them. As for the offensive line, it's still a question for me if they can protect Russ from what I saw in the, preseason game. But the Cardinals third stringers getting after him, it's still going to be a question, with the Broncos offensive line moving forward. As for the, third place, I have the Chargers getting third place. I can't trust them to get second because of the coaching around Brandon Staley. I do think they're going to take a step back below 8 wins because of coaching. I think that's good, because teams are going to get film on them. They'll make adjustments to Brandon Staley's coaching style. I think he's going to take a step back. I don't think Kellen Moore's going to do much to elevate Herbert's game. They'll be one of those good teams, but their defense can't stay healthy. They have really good pieces around it, just can't stay healthy, and I think that's going to cost them a lot of games. And Herbert, when he has to play for mine, he's not a guy that can win you games. He's a good regular season quarterback, but he's not a guy that, can elevate and also win from behind. He did it in his rookie year, and he also did it last year with the Jaguars in that infamous 27-0 lead because they failed to make second half adjustments. I think that's going to really hinder that team back to third place. As for fourth, I got the Raiders around 5 to 6, 5 wins. The Raiders. Obviously, we know Jimmy Garoppolo's, going to be the starter, but, moving forward, I think they're going to groom Aiden O'Connell after what I saw in the, preseason, to be the stopgap for the next quarterback to come up, I think, or he might be taking the reins to be the franchise quarterback for the Raiders. But as for the defense, it's still a question mark. I understand they addressed the defense a lot. They traded away Darren Waller to my Giants. And then for the receiving game, obviously, we don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo's, the same, if he's going to be the same as he was in New England since this head coach is I think Josh McDaniels, when he was in New England. I don't know if he's going to revert back to the old style when he was in New England. And I think with Garoppolo, it's not good. He doesn't have a defense to keep him in games like he did in San Francisco. And also, he's not a guy who can push the ball in today's NFL league. His arm looks very fatigued, and he makes a lot of costly mistakes. That's why I think they're going to finish last, and I don't trust McDaniels. That's practically it.
Yep, so when it comes to the AFC West, we all knew who's going to win it. It's going to be the Chiefs. I mean, come on, three players: Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, or excuse me, 2 players, 1 coach. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid. I mean, they've so much these past 5 years. They've always made the title game, at least the title game, no matter what. Damn. Choking on
Randy passed your sickness.
choking on my food right now, but
Damn.
Yeah. So I have Kansas City getting first. Damn. All right. Second place, I got the Chargers. Now, Chargers could be a team that gets third, and like Crazy just said, there's an opportunity for them to get second, and I do think that they are going to get it. I mean, my thing is with the Chargers, yes, I don't trust Brandon Staley at all, but obviously Justin Herbert, he's got the talent around him, and even though like Herbert, he's kind of been a stat pattern these recent years. I still feel like the team around him, yes, their defense is kind of questionable. And even though I feel like Brandon Staley's like the Cliff Berry version of the AFC, I got the Chargers getting second place. Damn it, at 10 wins. And then third place, I got Denver, also at 10 wins. So last year, I picked Denver to get, I think it was 11 wins. Obviously, we all know what happened. I completely regretted it after that. But they do have Sean Payton now. Even though Russ looked like dog water in the first preseason game against our defense, we'll see what he does as it's ongoing. But with Sean Payton there, we'll see if he can turn Russ around. I mean, like he's worked with short quarterbacks before, like Drew Brees. I mean, he was able to get them into the winning column. And the Broncos defense, we all know they're going to be good. And with the addition of Zach Gallen too, sadly another guy that we had to let go of. So, but I do have him getting third with 10 wins. And then I got the Raiders getting last because, see, Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't feel like he's the starting caliber quarterback on that scheme specifically with Josh McDaniels. I think is Patrick Graham still the defensive coordinator there? So the Raiders defense is not really good. It's still going to be kind of inconsistent in a way. But when I said I feel like the Raiders are going to get Caleb Williams, big reason for that is because, I mean, besides Devontae Adams, I mean, maybe Josh Jacobs. We don't know what's going on with him and his contract issue or whatever. But, I mean, besides Devontae Adams, do they really have an offensive, like, weapon out there? So, I mean, and even with Devontae Adams, I mean, even with Derek Carr, too, didn't really pan out that well. So, I have the Raiders getting last at
Not to mention Josh Jacobs sitting out, but yeah.
Yeah. So, I have them getting 6 wins. But, goddamn, that's how I have it, FC West. And, let me just switch to the next division real quick. So, last but not least, well, actually, probably the least division in football, the AFC South. So, YTC, what do you think about that?
Well, on paper, they have the best head coach, the best quarterback in that division, and a much better offense now, and also a rejuvenated defense. I'm going to go with, obviously, the Jaguars. They have the best quarterback with Trevor Lawrence. I see what RJ, when my buddy RJ, shout out to RJ, dropped the video, he is kind of like a Peyton Manning type of passer. He can run when but except he's a bit more of a scrambler. Trevor Lawrence, that's what he kind of reminds me of. I agree with RJ on that video. The Trevor Lawrence could be a Peyton Manning 2.0. As for the offense around the Jaguars, they got ETN, they got Tank Bigsby, who had a really good outing in that preseason game. Going to be a solid number 2 role for the Jaguars in the run game. They did revamp the offensive line this past draft. And also that they got Christian Kirk. Obviously, he had a really good outing. Evan Ingram, he had a renaissance year after getting rid of his ties in New York and also getting rid of his ties with Joe Judge and going to a head coach like Doug Peterson, who knew how to utilize tight ends like Dallas Goedert and knew how to utilize Zach Ertz to their fullest potential. That's where we rejuvenated Evan Ingram's career. And also, you have Calvin Ridley coming back from the gambling suspension for a whole year. I think he's gonna fill in nice for a number 2 role. I do think the number 1 on that team is Christian Kirk, and then it's gonna be him. I do think he'll fill in as nice as a number 2 role for Calvin Ridley, really. And also they have a number 3 option with Zay Jones, yeah. Having a number 3 option over there. I think they're going to have a really good underrated one of the best passing offenses in the league with Trevor Lawrence throwing on the ball and, being led under Doug Peterson. Their defense did get much better in the draft. They also fixed their secondary. They also, practically fixed the secondary. Front seven wasn't really that much of an issue. It was mostly their secondary, and I think they, addressed it with more depth at the end in the draft. So I think the Jaguars are winning that division. As for second place, call me crazy. I got Houston going second place. I do think D'Amico Ryans is going to show flashes that, he can fix the Houston team around. I do think Stroud's going to, shake off that one bad preseason start, and he'll be good enough, to show why he was drafted number 2 overall, and that D'Amico's going to, quickly, under his system, fix that defense and keep that team competitive in games. And I do think on the offensive side, they got better with Dalton Schultz. They picked up in the draft. They got John Mechie coming back from a torn ACL, who was supposed to be a standout. Nico Collins is really underrated for that offense over there. And Dameon Pierce, obviously, he was candidate for Rookie of the Year. He was really putting himself out there for a running back. And, I think they're going to take a next step under D'Amico Ryans like he did in San Francisco. He also modeled the San Francisco model by getting Will Anderson, drafting up in the earlier rounds. I do think the Texans will finish way better than the Colts and Titans. As for those 2 teams, I do got third place. I got the Titans getting third place, and obviously, Derrick Henry can only do but so much, with that offense. But I don't. That's what practically teams are going to do, to practically scheme around. I do think DeAndre Hopkins is going to have a down year because of the history with Tennessee, having wide receivers going to past their prime to teams like Tennessee being a retirement home for wide receivers. Yeah, it's not going to end really well for him. And then obviously we don't know who. Obviously, Ryan Tannehill's at best a game manager, but he's not going to elevate a team around on anymore. And Mike Vrabel doesn't know how to develop, quarterbacks. I have yet to see more with Malik Willis and Will Levis, basically. As for the defense, they have a decent line, but their linebacking core and secondary doesn't really stand out. Probably Kevin Byard, that's about it. But after that, they don't really stand out, at the linebacking core. They don't stand out as a secondary. So, teams are not going to be worried playing Tennessee, really, when it comes to passing against them, to be honest. As for the last place, you have the Colts. I have the Colts getting last place. Obviously, Gardner Minshew is going to be the starter. I don't think they're going to put in Richardson until he struggles, obviously, or the season's out of reach. He's still an unknown, with Anthony Richardson, and they don't have a really good, offense around besides Alex Pierce and Michael Pittman, really. And also, obviously, Jonathan Taylor's trying to hold out, for a better rookie running back contract, obviously. I think that's going to hurt the team a lot if he doesn't play. And as for the defensive side, they obviously still have a good front seven, but I think they lost a chunk of their secondary this past offseason. It's not going to be the same as it was before. Their front seven will be able to generate pressure, obviously. But, ever since, Eberflus left, it really hasn't been, as efficient as it was years back. That's why I've been finishing last place, really.
Yeah, so for my predictions, I feel like I can talk now. So for the first place, Jacksonville. It's going to be Jacksonville by default. Trevor Lawrence had an amazing year too, and they are Alvin Ridley back as well, along with Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, who's coming off a breakout year, Zay Jones, Travis Etienne. You can go on and on with that offense, and Doug Peterson proven that he's a really great coach for that team. So I have Jacksonville getting first place. Second place, I have it being Tennessee. Now, I could see them getting third behind Houston, but I'm picking them for second because I feel like they're the more experienced team. But as far as it goes, yes, I mean, Mike Vrabel can't develop a quarterback. I mean, Mariota still sucks. Malik Willis looked lost anytime he played last season. And even Ryan Tannehill, like when you look at his numbers from Miami to now, did he really get any better? Or did he have an elite receiver in A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry in his prime in his backfield? So, I mean, that's how I feel about Mike Vrabel. He just can't develop a quarterback. And honestly, I feel like the Titans should have just rebuilt instead of trying to get quick fixes like DeAndre Hopkins. Like, they should have just kept A.J. Brown, but they just wanted to pay Jeffrey Simmons so bad, and it came back to bite them in the rear end. So, I mean, Tennessee, they made dumb mistakes, but I do have them getting 7 wins and getting second, still missing the playoffs. But I think in second place. Third place, I got Houston. Now, same thing as I said with Carolina. The Texans are going to be a bad team. for my sake as well, because we have their pick. So that would be pretty nice. But I do feel like they're going to be a bad team record-wise. They are going to be bad. But like I said about Carolina, C.J. Stroud and D'Amico Ryans are going to make that team look good for the future. That's how I see it. And, they are getting certain guys back too. But it's just – I feel like for Houston, it's all about developing C.J. Stroud and that brand-new team this season. So that's where I have him at. I have him getting third place at 6 wins. Or wait, I think I said 5 or 6 wins, somewhere around there. So that's where I have him at. And then last place, I have it being the Colts. Now, Anthony Richardson, I just don't feel like he's ready. And like, YTC said, I could see him starting Gardner Minshew. I mean, I know it's only one preseason game, but both Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud, and I guess you can count Will Levis and Malik Willis in there, they all looked bad. So, I mean, honestly, with all those guys, it's not looking promising so far. But as far as Anthony Richardson goes, I feel like they should sit him for 1 year so he can kind of learn the game a bit more and then put him out there. But if they start Richardson and see what he can do, either way, I have him getting last place in that division with 4 wins. That's where I have them at. But so I have it being Jaguars, Titans, Texans, and then the Colts. So that's where I have that. But once again, guys, and this is a question for the chat, and YTC can answer this if you want. Who do you think is going to get first seed in the NFC and the AFC? But
all right, first seed.
Yeah.
Well, number 1 seed, Philadelphia. Until they're proven otherwise, the 49ers can have a quarterback around. No, it's the Eagles. I think they're going to get number 1 seed again, only because they have the quarterback, and just as a complete roster as the 49ers. It's just the quarterback's the only difference. As for the AFC, I got the Bengals, as I said earlier. Yeah.
Bengals. Okay. So I have it being Chiefs and Eagles. That's where I have it at. But so on to the next topic. I know we've been talking about divisions a lot, but let's get into some news that happened today. So hold on, let me pull up the banner. So Ezekiel Elliott is signing with the New England Patriots. It's a 1-year deal for $6 million. So YTC, what do you think?
Well, obviously Zeke was a former division rival, but congrats to him, going to another team. But I don't think he's going to be the vocal point regardless, because the way I look at Belichick, obviously we know he likes to run the ball. He's still old school in that style, but I don't think Zeke's going to, do much really over there. I think that, the focus is still going to be on Ramondre Stevenson because he can do both run and catch the ball. That's how I really look at it. He's probably going to be just, a filler back basically as a number 2 role. I don't think he's going to, he's at the point of his career where he can be a number 1 again. At that point, I think, Ramondre Stevenson's more versatile than him, and I think he's going to be the vocal point of the run game, in my opinion.
Yeah, so for Zeke, I don't like the Patriots should. I mean, the Patriots should focus on getting receivers. At least that's what I like. Running backs, you got Stevenson already, like you said. So I mean, Zeke. I mean, he hasn't had a good year in the past. Few years maybe. So either way, Patriots. I obviously, like I said, I have him finishing last. But him going to New England, we'll see, I guess. I mean, I don't think he'd be a bad running back 2 behind Stevenson. But we'll see what happens there. But some news for my Cardinals today. Zach Ertz has been activated off the PUP list after tearing his ACL. Expected to be ready for week 1. So YTC, thoughts on that?
Zach Ertz, obviously he used to play in our division, obviously. But yeah. He's back on the pup list for he's on the main roster, back on the Cardinals, expected to start week 1. That's going to be huge for them, playing up against that front 7 and the Commanders and up against that defense. It's going to be much added help for, Clayton Tune, who's going to be the starter until Kyler Murray comes back, progresses, passes more. Zach Ertz is a, good security blanket, still at this point of his career. I do think he's going to, open it up a lot in the passing game. It's going to help out guys like Hollywood Brown, Michael Wilson, and those other guys get open. They have a really good running back with James Conner. I do think it's going to help a lot on the offense. If, Zach Ertz can revert to what he once was in Philadelphia and stay healthy. It's really going to help out Arizona a lot in the offense and give them a chance to beat the Commanders.
Yeah, so from a Cardinals fan perspective, this helps out a lot. I mean, obviously, even if we didn't have Zach Ertz, we still had Trey McBride. I mean, he kind of had a quiet rookie year, I guess, but that's because they didn't really play him until later in the season when we were, out of the playoff picture and until after Zach Ertz tore his ACL. But with Zach Ertz back, helps out a lot. Like Randy said, it helps out, give the quarterback some relief at catching. Also helps out a little bit as far as, giving the other guys on our receiving core a chance to really get open because, you're going to have guys like Hollywood, maybe potentially, and Rondale Moore, hopefully he stays healthy. Michael Wilson, hopefully they give him some snaps as well. But with Zach Ertz back, helps a lot, especially on the run game because he's been a really good blocker for us the past couple years. So that helps out a lot on the run game, especially with our weak offensive line. So should be pretty interesting. I'm definitely glad to see him ready for week 1 because I was expecting him to come back kind of around the same time as Kyler, somewhere week 4, week 5, week 6, like somewhere around there. But with coming back, I mean, big plus for us. Really helps out a lot. But so
plus Clayton Tune's not supposed to, he's going to probably be a game manager at that point. He doesn't have to really do much, just not turn the ball over really just until Kyler comes back. That's how you really look at it. Yeah.
So wait, who's your team playing next week?
Oh, next week we got the Panthers. We're playing against in preseason.
So do you see is Daniel Jones that game or?
He's practicing. He's been practicing. He went 8 for 19 today, even though he had a pick in practice. It was a good play by Dane Belton, who also had a good play in that Detroit game. Yeah, basically, he was 18 for 19. He was really sharp as a passer per usual. I think he's is increased his completion percentage, so this is well expected from him. So yeah, we're playing up against Carolina, who got shut out 27-0 against the Jets. So yeah.
Okay, and then Randy said they're playing Cleveland Thursday. Okay. So
I'm doing that game, by the way. But yeah,
we got Kansas City on Saturday, and I'm doing that game. Hopefully we can give Michael Wilson some more snaps because that's a receiver that's been looking really good in training camp, and that's a guy that I really want to see. But I mean, our coaching staff, I don't exactly know what they're thinking heading into this game, but I really want to see our coach not wait until halftime to make good adjustments. Like do it during the freaking first half when we're being shut out by a Denver defense. But I mean, so we've covered all the topics so far. Does the chat have any questions for us? Anything? Remember, this is the first episode, so I mean, we're kind of getting used to this as of right now.
While we wait for the questions, I'll just say what I'm looking forward to on Friday. Basically, I obviously you want to see your starters play. Obviously, for me, I want to see Jones go out there, start developing chemistry with the offense in a real game, so that way you can get a feel for how they're going to operate. I mean, I understand you don't want to give a lot away, but still, I just want to see the basic fundamental passes, the checkdowns here, checkdowns there, basic passes, just to develop chemistry, and so we can basically take off the game sample size so we can see the potential of what they can be. But yeah, that's practically what I want to see Friday. You always want to see your starters play, but yeah.
Yeah, it's the OP, whatever.
Is Clayton Tune the starter? Damn.
He might be if Cole McCoy keeps playing like dog water.
And I think he might be.
Randy, I'm gonna read Randy's comments since he's not here to say it. So he wants to see more Eli Ricks at defensive back as well as linebackers. Got to step up. Excited to see our safety, the Eagles safety.
Oh yeah, that guy from Alabama, I think, right? Eli Ricks.
Yeah.
Is he from Alabama? Yeah, that guy. Yeah. Another guy in Scotty is really good too. So
no Buda Baker. That's all I know. All right, but yep. So yeah, but for the Chiefs game, I just want to see more of our rookies because we didn't see him a lot. Didn't see BJ Ojulari at all, even though he's dealing with an injury.
Damn.
Michael Wilson didn't see him either, really. So I see the rookies, and that's what preseason should be about. But the only rookie we really saw soon. So I mean, it is what it is. But guys,
that's what preseason's for. But yeah.
So guys, let's just talk about the podcast for a little bit since we've covered all the topics. So this is episode 1. I wasn't expecting it to be over an hour and a half because it's the first episode, but we were talking about a lot of stuff. So basically, this first episode was kind of just to see, what it's kind of going to look like. Obviously, as we keep going on the episodes, hopefully, we get more people in here to talk football, basketball, or baseball with us. Now, for the people that weren't here at the beginning of the stream, I did say that we are going to talk football, basketball, and baseball. But for this episode, we were just talking about football, mainly because it was the first week of preseason. We saw our teams play for the first time in quite some time, so it was nice talking about that. Because football is right around the corner, and we still got a few months until basketball and baseball. I am not. My Diamondbacks are kind of ridiculous right now, so I mean it's kind of hard talking about them right now. But we are going to talk about every sport in our episodes in the near future. Yeah, Randy says it is going to be fun, and also like I said, I might not be done adding some co-hosts. I may add 1-2 more at most. I don't want more than 5 on here because I feel like that'd be too much. I did ask Mitch. He said he couldn't do it because he's doing other shows. But for guest hosts, or no, not guest hosts, for like guests on the show, we are going to have guests on here occasionally. I could see us bringing Mitch in as a guest because I mean he did throw out as a guest or as a co-host or whatever. So guys like him, we'll bring him on here. So that's how it's gonna be. But you guys are definitely gonna see at least me, YTC, and Randy. Like we said, Randy had something to do. That's why he had to leave early, and he says go Blue Jays. So still pissed off. But TOP.
Tune it up there.
But I mean, first episode went by. It went by pretty fast. It went by pretty good too. I mean, we did have a good time. So, I don't know. Oh, you're good, Randy. I mean, you said going forward you'd be on here for the full show anyway. So, it is what it is. Right? But I don't know when I'm gonna start putting guests on here. Maybe when the NFL season's going on and we have
throughout the year when it's more topics to talk about. More than likely, and also when NBA is starting at the same time around it, I think a month after. That's when the topics start reeling in, and we'll have much longer shows. I think. Yeah,
because I mean, basketball. There's not really that much news going on right now. I mean, or at least that I know of.
And meaningful baseball doesn't happen until like around September, really, when it's near the playoffs.
Playoff baseball.
I think.
So we'll start about that. But for this episode, we were just kind of sinking in. We're talking about our teams a little bit. But as the episodes keep on going, we're going to keep talking about every sport. So, like I said, but I mean, anything to add, YTC?
Well, that's about it. I look forward to doing the next episodes. Moving forward from here, and see where this goes.
Yep. So, Randy said if we were. Then he would hop back on. But I mean, we've covered all the topics. It looks like we're good to go.
We're gonna head on out here. We'll see you guys next week, and Yep. Best of luck to your teams. So,
Appreciate everyone for stopping by. Make sure to keep watching these episodes. It's going to be a really fun show in the future. We'll see what happens. What did Randy say? Especially when a certain team has a huge W or comeback, we can bring. Oh wow.
Oh yeah, that should be interesting.
Yeah, that should be interesting. And but with that being said, guys, hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to sub up if you guys haven't already, and if you're new. But with that being said, guys, see you guys later.